Hi everyone, this is John Girardi with Right to Life of Central California, bringing you another video in our 40 Videos for 40 Days for Life series. 40 Days for Life is the international campaign of prayer and presence outside abortion clinics throughout the country and throughout the world. If you want to learn more about our campaign here in Fresno, go to rtlcc.org or give us a call at 559-229-2229. Today on the show, I want to talk about the attitudes of early Christianity towards abortion. And I want to do so by making the claim, which is true, that Christianity was just as countercultural on the life issue in the ancient world as it is countercultural on the life issue in our present day. In Rome, various forms of abortion and infanticide and attempted contraception with questionable effectiveness were commonplace. There were all kinds of ways through giving women different kinds of drugs, different kinds of pessaries, to try to induce abortion, to try to prevent pregnancy on the front end through contraception, although these methods it was sort of difficult to know what was actually contraception and what was actually abortion. Especially in the ancient world, they did not have a very clear understanding of when life actually began in the womb. And this was followed up by the backup measure of infanticide. One of the things we see from letters that Romans would exchange was that infanticide was actually a fairly common practice in the Roman world, the practice of what was called exposure. Basically, if the paterfamilias, the father, decided he did not want a child, maybe he had a child with a female slave, maybe he just didn't want to break up the inheritance. This was another thing. The Roman historian Tacitus was astounded to learn of the practice among Jews in the Roman Empire that they would continue to have children even after their wills were written. He thought that was astonishing, which Romans apparently would never do that. And what Romans would do if they had a child and the child was born and they did not want the child was simply leave the child to die. Leave the child in the forest to be exposed to the elements, or maybe leave the child at a crossroads where the child would maybe be picked up by someone and become somebody's slave. This was common practice in the Roman Empire, and Christianity and Judaism were characterized by a rejection of these norms. You can see this as early as the 1st century AD, where this Christian writing called the Didache explicitly condemns these practices of contraception, abortion, and infanticide. It's a very interesting thing to see how really there's nothing new under the sun. That the culture of death that we see today in the United States is really just kind of a restatement of the culture of death that existed in the Roman Empire, into which Christ was born. Tomorrow I want to talk about biblical arguments against abortion. In fact, possible direct biblical condemnation of abortion. Ever heard of that? Well, we'll talk about it tomorrow on 40 Videos for 40 Days for Life.